My God, I hate drugs.
Malacanang expresses concern on the militarization in the South China Sea.
We take note of the reports that appeared, and we express our serious concerns anew on its impact on constructive efforts to maintain peace and stability in the region.
But President Rodrigo Duterte insists he cannot go to war.
As of now, we are not ready to fight.
House Committee on National Defense Vice Chairman Rufy Biazon joins us live. And later, a look at the royal family's official photos after the wedding of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. That's for today's In Focus. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. Malacanang expresses serious concern about reports that Beijing has deployed a bomber in a bomber plane in a disputed area in the South China Sea. U.S. reports say Chinese bombers landed on Woody Island for the first time on Friday. Woody Island, part of the PAG-ATAKl Islands, is claimed by China, Taiwan, and Vietnam. But the government stopped short of directly calling on China to put an end to its ongoing militarization in the South China Sea. When asked on the possibility of convening the National Security Council, presidential spokesman Harry Roque says the president doesn't consider China a security threat. Now, a lawmaker wants his colleagues at the House of Representatives to look into China's latest actions in the disputed waters. Let's go straight to the source of the story. House Committee on National Defense Vice Chairman Rufy Biazon. Congressman, good to have you again.
Yes, thank you, Pinky, for the invitation.
Very important to talk about this. Let's talk about the bomber planes first that landed on Woody Island. That's in the PAG-ATAKl Islands.
Yes.
We are not claiming the PAG-ATAKl Islands.
It's outside our range of the exclusive economic zone, so it's basically out of our reach.
Malayo-layo siya. I'd like to show a map of this so we get our points of view correct here, because the PAG-ATAKl Islands, if we look into that, would be the map of the South China Sea, if we can get that up on the screen. It's nearer to, if I'm not mistaken, it's nearer to China. It's
Yes.
quite far from the Philippines.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what's I think that we should be concerned about is the range of the bombers that are landing there. The planes that landed sends a signal that China is in control of that area. Because anywhere you can reach your military assets, that's an area where you can control.
Okay, let's look at this, Congressman, just to give the viewers a better perspective. So, when we look at the West Philippine Sea, and very close to the western part of the Philippines, which is the West Philippine Sea, the PAG-ATAKl is, when we see that South China Sea, nandun siya sa taas nun, ano?
Yeah.
Banda dun, ano?
Upper left of that area.
Okay, so dyan nagland yung bomber planes, and I think we can also show a video of what bomber planes actually look like. You were saying that the problem is the radius. These bomber planes have a radius apparently of 1,000 nautical miles, which they say nearly covers the whole Philippines.
Yeah, it reaches up to the Benham Rise. The range of the aircraft. Those are called strategic bombers, meaning to say they are capable of carrying a nuclear payload, and they have a long-range capability.
What's a nuclear payload? What is that?
Basically, a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, yun.
It can drop bombs that are nuclear, and of course, it's a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah, Congressman, when you say that aabot siya ng Benham, we know where Benham is very, off Aurora, no? But aabot ho ba yang? My question is, those bombs, aabot ho ba yan sa Pilipinas? Kasi if you're saying Benham, that's still west of the Philippines.
Yes, basically abot ang buong Pilipinas, from Luzon to Mindanao. Yung theoretical scenario that China, if it decides to drop a bomb in the Philippines, it's unlikely, but there's a capability to do that because of the landing of those planes on Woody Island.
On Woody Island, all right. And Woody Island is claimed by, I believe it is Vietnam, and is it Taiwan also?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go earlier during 2016 up to today. Apart from Woody Island, which is the recent news, let's look into the Spratly Islands. Okay, the Spratly Islands, of course, west of the Philippines. In the past, there have been sightings of vessels and planes. In April 2016, there was a plane sighted on Cagitingan Reef. That was April 2016. And then I remember the Inquirer report, the exclusive report of the Inquirer on the plane, on the militarization.
Yeah, on the missiles.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that was on Mischief Reef.
Yes.
And then on April 28 is the military aircraft on Subi Reef. Congressman, explain to us the landings, the implications of the landing of planes and sea vessels on these reefs.
Well, the implication here is that it becomes a forward base by the Chinese. That's a projection of their military reach. And whenever you put in a military facility, you have to defend it. And that's why they put in defensive missiles there. And the reach of those missiles also goes into Philippine territory and our exclusive economic zone. So again, that is a projection of their control. Because if any of our vessels comes within range of that military facility, they can challenge any of our vessels. Like for example, if a Philippine Coast Guard vessel ventures into those waters, they can and they will challenge it. And with the threat of them having a surface-to-surface missile. So effectively, that's already a threat to us. So I don't see any basis to say that there is no threat to us, because that is already a threat to us,
but
the Philippines.
These threats have been ongoing for at least a couple of years.
Yeah, it's been creeping for several years. Of course, construction did not start just yesterday. It's been going on for years. But it was only in 2016 when the arbitral ruling gave us the legal backing to be able to challenge what China is doing.
And saying that, well, basically there's no such thing as a 9-dash line.
Yes. And we have the backing of the international community there, because it was a decision by an international court under an international agreement, a treaty. So we have the backing of the international community as far as our claims are concerned.
But the ruling, of course, is not recognized by China. That's what they assert.
They're the other party. Yeah. But we have an ally of nations with us on this.
Congressman, how would you describe the government's action or inaction regarding this?
Well, the statement that Malacanang is concerned...
expresses serious concern.
Yeah, expresses their serious concern is, of course, welcome and expected. But we do hope that there would be a stronger action taken after that statement. We don't mean to say that we should go to war, because our Constitution says war is not our instrument of foreign policy. But we should be taking this to the international stage, legal stage, where we can get the backing of others with common interests in the area.
Are you saying that a diplomatic protest is not enough?
Well, yes, it's a diplomatic protest is in order, but we can still do more by engaging our allies, engaging other countries who have interests. Because this is not just a matter between the Philippines and China. The South China Sea, West Philippine Sea is a major sea lane, and the world depends on it. So it is something that concerns other countries.
When we were talking about the serious concern expressed by Malacanang, I believe that came from presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. Let's listen to a longer statement that the secretary made regarding this.
Well, it's the president's call, really, no? Okay. And right now, the president does not see any immediate threat. As I said, we do not consider China to be a threat to our security right now because of our newfound friendship with China.
Can you react to that? Not a threat because of our newfound friendship with China?
Well, you know the newfound friendship is economic, trade. That's what we're looking at. but we are also looking at the national territory and the sovereign rights of the Philippines. So when we talk about national security, it encompasses not just exchange in trade, not just aid in terms of funding. It encompasses what the Philippines' interests are way into the future. It involves maritime security, it involves agricultural security, food security. So I think in order for us to be able to look at this from a well-rounded point of view, we need to convene the National Security Council, because that is the mandate of the National Security Council.
Which is part of your resolution. You filed 2 resolutions in Congress regarding this. That response actually of Secretary Harry Roque was a question to should the National Security Council be convened, and that was his answer to that. But back to back, let's also listen to a soundbite made by U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines, Song Kim.
We are concerned. I think we're concerned anytime a claimant, including China, takes aggressive unilateral actions towards militarization, which is clearly what they seem to have done. I saw the report, and it seems to suggest that they're moving towards militarization. So we are concerned.
Do you feel that the United States is more concerned than the Philippines?
Well, they use the same language. They are concerned. The Philippines is also concerned. Now, the next step is the one we should see.
Okay.
Will the U.S. perform more FONOPs or the freedom of navigation operations? Will they get other allies to take a stand on this? Because they will do it even without us.
Allies meaning also claimants.
Other claimants, and even the Europeans are reacting to this. The British, the French have sent their warships in the area, so that's an expression of concern. Because they will move, because it is an international concern, and we don't want to be. I don't think Philippines should be in a position wherein it can be said that we let the Chinese have their way in South China Sea.
And when you look at that, you need to ask how the president is reacting to this. And Secretary Roque says, because of this newfound friendship, they're not really I think he used the words immediate threat. However, you also look at the DFA, the Department of Foreign Affairs, questions on what are they doing. They released a statement very recently regarding this, and basically they're saying that they're taking diplomatic action that is necessary to protect our claims, and will continue to do so in the future. I want to discuss this with you because I want you to help me understand exactly what they're doing. And then the DFA says, we reiterate our commitment to protect every single inch of our territory, and while appropriate language, whether expressions of condemnation or concern over certain developments, are clearly conveyed through diplomatic channels, it is not our policy to publicize every action taken by the Philippine government.
Yeah, I would agree that the Department of Foreign Affairs also has its covert operations, diplomatic covert operations. But at this point, I feel that the concerned agencies should band together and come up with a common Philippine stand on this. What does the Department of National Defense has to say about this?
Which is part of the NSC, if ever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And even Congress. Because, every move of government is supported by appropriations from Congress. So we would also want to know what direction we are going to take.
But please correct me if I'm wrong. If the DFA had to file a protest, I don't know, possibly through a note verbal with China, how bad is it to tell the Filipino people that we actually filed a note verbal or a diplomatic protest with China regarding this?
Well,
if
that is a course of action that they will take, they should tell the Filipino people, because that would give assurance to the Filipinos that they really are doing something.
Yeah, but when they say that it's not our policy to publicize every action taken by the Philippine government.
Yes, there are other actions that they could be taking that don't need to be publicized. But a note verbal is something that the people should know.
All right. And also, over and above that, Congressman, is what you're saying is to file a protest before an international community. treaty, an
Yes,
international body.
We have the backing of an international treaty on this, and we can file the appropriate protests.
File to whom? Which
Well,
body?
in this case, if there are any provisions under UNCLOS, we can do that. Of course, even the United Nations itself could be a venue, especially that the concern is militarization of the South China Sea.
In fact, before we go on a break, I believe it was acting Chief Justice Antonio Carpio who was saying that not to protest this is actually, well, he used the word, I pronounce it aqueous, to not protest basically is to kind of like give in.
Yeah, it's in the legal world, when you don't
Protest.
you're basically agreeing to what
That it's okay.